Welcome. Now that we've got our thumbnails done, our thumbnails are done. We have a signature on them. My signature for you on this project is not necessarily to say you can't do this, but it's just to make sure that if you pick a design that's rather difficult or it's doomed for failure for some reason or whatever, I can help you out with that and we can work through that. So now that I have my thumbnails done, this is the one that I'm going to do as I've said in the beginning. So we're going to complete the bill of material for this. Now we need to complete the bill of material for this because I want you to know how much those boards cost. Nothing is free in this world. You don't have to pay an activity fee, but I want you still to know as you're wasting wood or this or that or not measuring right, that everything has a cost associated with it. Now, if we take a look at our design process, we understand the problem, we know the minimums and maximums, we've created our thumbnails, now we got to do the bill of material sheet. After we get the bill of material sheet completed and we prove that or show how we calculate the materials for it, then the next step will be actually taking our bill of material sheet and thumbnails and going out picking wood and getting it starting our design process. You have a blank bill of material sheet right here, but let's understand this sheet first. The first thing you need to do is put your name on it because this will be part of our final grade, so you need to put your name on it. Put cutting board or cribbage board or sign, something like that, whatever you're picking and choosing on there for this project. That way I'll have an understanding when I go to help you periodically through your design. As we're out working, I cannot remember what each one of you are doing. So we have number of pieces, we have the name of the part, we have our rough width, rough length, rough thickness. Then here is where our finish goes. Finish size goes right here. Then we got to pick the type of wood that we're going to use. This is how much board foot right here. This comes out of this formula down into right here, and I'm going to demonstrate that. This is how much the wood costs, and we'll go over that. This would be the total cost of that particular board. Now, when we get on to later projects, will we have multi pieces for our projects? Absolutely. Some of you will have more than others, but we're all going to have, the one board for this particular project. So that's how we're going to calculate this, and I'll work through this with you on this example. Now, when we are all done, we need to have a signature on this sheet too, so I know that you did and you calculated out and you understand the process that's involved in calculating the wood. So as we go back to right here on our blank sheet, you got to put your name. It wouldn't hurt to put the hour too. I'll just go 2B. Put your hour on there. Then cutting board. Now, number of pieces, irregardless of what we're going to do, we're always going to end up with one piece. All right. I'm going to draw the numbers really big right here so you can clearly see it. Name of part, main body. You could call it your cribbage board. I mean, you can call it whatever you want. On other projects, it will be side, shelf, divider. It may have a variety of names, and you'll see that. Now, our rough size is really important to understand that we need to add 1 inch to our rough size. Remember, the rough size is we're going in the back room, we're bringing out a board, and we want to add 1 inch. All right, in our video series on squaring up a board, you need to add the 1 inch to get the board down so we can cut it down to our finish size. We cannot pull out of the back room our finish size. We need to make sure we have some extra wood. Now, if we go back to our thumbnail design, how wide, W for what width, how wide is it? 12 inches. What is our length? Is that right? No, it's not, because what do we got to do? We need to add 1 inch. So our width is going to be 13, not 12. Then our length will be 17 plus 1 is 18. Now our rough thickness, no matter what project we do or anything else, our rough thickness will be 1 inch. That's how we get our boards. Now the finish size will come right off from here. Follow this right here is 12 by 17 by, we're all going to have 3/4 when we're done. So if we take a look, you got to remember this is rough size. We add 1 inch, and this is our finish size, which means these measurements. So our rough will always be 1 for thickness and 3/4 inch for thickness on our finish, unless it's something special. Now the type of wood that you're going to use, remember we had our choice. We had our choice of oak, hard maple, or popple. Remember we talked about the properties of these particular woods for you to use. Now I am going to choose maple. Maple is what I'm going to do for a cutting board. So I'm going to choose maple. Now we're to the board foot. Square foot is for calculating like plywood and stuff like that. In future projects, we're going to be using that formula. But for this project, we're going to use board feet because we're only going to use a board, not plywood or materials like that. So as we grab a calculator, we have everything we need. All right, so what do? Number of pieces, 1, times thickness, which is 1, times width, which is 13, times length, 18, equals, now we got to divide it by 144. Where do we come up with that number? A board foot is 12 by 12. So we divide that and we create what it is 144 really is 100. If you think about it, 12 by 12 is 144 square inches in that board foot. So actually, when we calculate board foot, we're actually calculating every square inch. So I came up with this number and I divide it by 144 equals. Now the calculator, if you can see right here, says 1.625. Use your math skills, all right? Use your math skills, and we're gonna go to the hundredths right here. So we go what? 1.6, well, we just dropped that because it's not. So it's 1.62. 1.62. That came out of that formula. Now the cost of the wood that we're going to use is, you have this cost chart. Now, depending upon the wood that you selected for this project, we are going to use hard maple, which is $1.80 a board foot. Some of you may have oak, the popple. You can see there's a price difference right there. So I need to refer to this sheet. So it's $1.80 a board foot. Now this is how much wood I used. This is a cost of per board foot. I'm using 1.62 board feet. So it's like buying jelly beans, 5 for $1. What if I only buy 3? Do I have to pay the $1? No, it's subdivided out. So I take 1.62 times 1.80 equals, look at our math skills, 2.96 right there, so it turns to a 2. 2.92. Now, that's it what we have for materials. As I said, in the future, you're going to have a multi-list of different materials here and costs associated with that. So I add all these together and it comes with 2.92. Now, if you take a look, there's a 10% waste on this one. That is really, really low. I do not, when I do personal projects at home and everything else, I sometimes add 20 to 30% for waste, not 10%. But we're using 10% just kind of make it easy for you. Look over here, and here is the formula to calculate waste. All right, so we take, this is 10%, right? 10% times this. We don't even need a calculator to do this. All we do is push the decimal place over to here. But if you want to figure it out, 2.92 times 0.1 equals, see, it equals 29 cents. We don't need a calculator to figure that out, but if you need one or want to use one, go for it. Now, we take subtotal of the material costs, we add waste on there. This will give us our total stock cost. So when we add these two numbers together, we come up with $3.21. Now, on this particular project, look at plywood and other materials. We don't have any other materials right here. All right, but on our future projects, we're going to have screws, nails, and all that kind of stuff right here. Plywood. But on this project, we do not have anything, so we would add all this up, and that's a 0 for this project, but not future projects. Now, stock costs. Look, we bring that number down right here, 3.21. Now there's a line right here. Now we're going to bring our costs together. The cost of the wood, cost of the screws, we add them up. This plus 0 is 3.21. Now if we take a look, there's a $2 mark here. How we came up with that $2 mark out is we calculated and averaged out for every project the actual cost of finishing using stain and supplies and all that other stuff. I had to measure out. It took a long time to actually calculate that out and figure out what the average cost is. So we're not going to charge your parents or charge anybody else any more than what we need to cover the cost. So it ended up actually being 1.92, $1.92. So we rounded up just at 8 cents for inflation or whatever. So now to figure out the total cost, we got to add these together. So it's 5.21. That would be the total cost of making this cutting board, just cost our cutting board that we're choosing, 12 by 17, that is the actual cost of making that cutting board. If you need help with this, feel free to ask.